Hi everyone, good morning and good evening. So in a previous video, I have already covered a 1 to 6. So today I'm going to cover activity manager, activity and activity group in SAP ME. What is the hook point? What is hookable activity and activity hook? And as well as what all are illegal characters that you cannot use in SAP ME, and what all are the keyboard shortcuts available in SAP ME. So moving to the next. Okay. So as soon as it will be log into SAP ME system, you can see here at the left hand side, the SAP ME activity manager screen. So this is your SAP ME activity manager that contains all your activity and activity groups depending on your authorizations, either in which user group you are assigned. So SAP manufacturing execution system, SAP ME, is made up of series of smaller applications and called activities. So if you consider a complete SAP ME system that has a lot of smaller applications, and that application itself known as activities in SAP ME. And that application is used to perform a specific task in SAP ME. So activities are applications that perform a specific task. Activities are global to all sites in database. So whatever the activity you will be creating in SAP ME, that is not specific to the site. It will be available for all the sites available in your SAP ME system, but depend on what all authorization, but depend on the authorization you have or not. But that will not associated with the site only, that is the global. When an activity is added to one site, all site view and use the activity once permission is given. An activity group with no activity or activity groups assigned to it is not displayed in the activity manager. So inside this activity manager screen, you can see maintenance is one activity group, and inside that these all are the activity inside this activity group. So here an activity group with no activity or activity groups assigned to it is not displayed in activity manager. So you cannot display any activity inside this activity manager if that activity is not assigned to an activity group. And if you have created an activity group and in that activity group there is no activity assigned, that activity group will also not be visible here. So as I said, SAP ME is a series of a smaller application and called activities. So these all are the activities, and now you can categorize a SAP ME activity into two parts. A broadly classification you can do into two parts. First one is the UI activity, and second is the background activity. So UI activity, so those activity have some user interface to interact to any database. So that all activity will only be visible here in a activity manager. So all the activity you are seeing here, each activity has its own user interface, and it's provide you to interact with SAP ME database, or you can say SAP ME system. And those activity that you have created, and you are not associating that activity with any user interface, that will run in a background only. So that all activity will not be shown here in the activity manager. So activity manager contains all the activities. Activity manager contains all the activities which have a UI, user interface, and all the activities that is available in SAP ME, you can see in activity maintenance in SAP ME. So activity maintenance is also one activity that provides the user interface, and through that you can see all the available activities. Either that is the UI activity or background activity, all will be visible in activity maintenance screen. Okay, so here just before that, okay. So we saw what is the activity, what is the activity manager. Now I'm going for activity group. So what is the activity group? Activity group is nothing but just organizing your available activity in a list. So just logically organized activity list, nothing else. So you can create a multiple activity groups, and related activity you can organize in one group. So just for the example, there is a maintenance activity. So all the maintenance activities you can group in maintenance group. So you can create one maintenance group, and all the maintenance activities like create materials, so material maintenance, site maintenance. So all the maintenance activity you can group into the maintenance activity. So maintenance activities are mainly used to create a master data like site, users, user group, material, routing, and bombs. So all these activities where you are creating something, updating or deleting something, that comes under the maintenance activity. So here you can see there is a maintenance group, and if you will expand it, you will find all the maintenance activities available in SAP ME. Production activity, that production activities are mainly used by the production operators, lead operators, supervisor, and other soft floor personnel to provide a precise information about the work they are performing to the system. But this is not a hard and fast rule. You can create your own activity and you can group accordingly. And there is a reports, there is another groups you can create as a report, and you can include all the activities related to the group, related to the reports, and that will be visible here. One thing you need to take care here, the list of activity group and activity visible in activity manager depend on the permission on the user group or user is assigned to. And each user need to be assigned to a user group to see the activities in activity manager. So first prerequisite is that whenever you are logging to SAP ME, you should have assigned, you should have been assigned to at least one SAP ME user groups to view at least some activities here. And the second thing is that the list of activity group and activity visible in this activity manager So what all groups or what all activity will be visible to the user, that completely depends on what activity group you have assigned to and what all permission available for that activity group. So here you can see SAP ME is made up of is activity manager, and activity manager contains the activity group and activities. So this is just an example of material maintenance activity. So here you can see a material maintenance. So whenever you will open a material maintenance activity, it will open like this. The meaning is that this is the UI activity. It means it provides a user interface to interact. So this activity is known as UI activity. So material maintenance, this is the first, the heading will come, and at the menu bar you can see there is a retrieve, save, clear and delete. These all are the buttons you can use on the maintenance screen. So first, whenever we will open a material maintenance, the site will be visible here, for which site you have been logged in and you are going to maintain the material. Here you can provide your material. If already that material has been created in SAP ME, click on retrieve. All the material related data will be populated here, and you can see. If you want to create a material, you have to give here a material that is not available in SAP ME. Just give a name here and click on save. That material will be saved. But before that, you have to provide all the mandatory parameters that required to create a material in SAP ME. And all the mandatory parameter has been prefixed by a red star. After that, you can see there is a version. So in SAP ME, a version is also a mandatory field that you need to provide at the time of creating a material. So you can provide a version A, B, C, whatever the version of the material you can provide here. And this area you can see, these all are the tabs: main tab, builds tab, alternates, document, DPMO, transfer. So these all are the tabs contains information about the material. So build tab contains the information about the build related to these materials. Alternate contains the information. If you click on alternate, another screen will be opening here, and that will contain all the alternate materials that we can use for a particular selected material here. And this is the browse icon here. So clicking on browse icon, it will show you a list of all available materials in SAP ME, and you can select from there. So all possible values will be shown whenever you will be clicking on browse. So activity tab link is to navigate through information, right arrow. So here actually you can navigate through this tab, activity tabs, and you can see accordingly the information. So certification related information will be in the certification tab, system rule related information will be in the system rule tab. So just this is the example that how activity looks like the UI activity, not the background activity. Now I'm coming to a hook point, hookable activity and activity hook. So there is a hook point and hookable activity and activity hooks. So what it is? So let me explain you. Let me open here a pen. Okay, so in SAP ME, suppose there is a start here. So in SAP ME, there is a activity that actually you can use to start an SFC at a particular operation. So suppose this is the start activity and this is the complete activity. Start activity code is PR 500 and complete activity code is a PR 510. So suppose someone is starting a SFC at a particular operation, and I want, before starting an operation, so I want to perform some background task. I want to send an email to some person. I want to validate if all the components has been assembled on this particular operation or not, all the data collection has been performed or not. So I want to validate it. So in that case, SAP ME provides some extension. So let me, so here actually this is the pre, and here I'm just writing post, and here again it will coming as a pre, here it is a post. So SAP ME provides some extension points, and at that extension point you can attach some activity that need to be performed, and that activity will be your background activity. That will not UI activities, that will be your background activity. So here, whenever I want that operator will start an operation in SAP ME, at that particular operation, before starting it, I want here to send mail. I want this task to be done. So you can create the activity in SAP ME, and there are multiple activities available in SAP ME that you can use directly, and you can attach as your pre-hook point. So this is your known as pre-start hook point. The meaning is that this is the hook point pre-start where you can attach an activity in SAP ME, and this activity will be performed before starting the operation. If the send mail activity, suppose you have created an activity for sending a mail, if it's got failed, your operation will not be started. So in case you are attaching some activity hooks, some hook points activity hooks or hookable activity, so that activity need to be successfully executed, then only a start activity will be performed. So that all the activities that you can hook at your hook point is known as hookable activity, and all the hookable activities are a background activity. So here at the pre-start hook point, this is one extension point for the pre-start. You can attach here one another activity that will perform one task And this activity is known as hookable activity that can be hooked with the activity hook. And I want that whenever this start activity will be done, then one post extension also provided by SAP, that is the post start activity hook. So at the post start, I want to print the document. So for that, I can create an activity in SAP ME and I can print the document as well. So whenever this pre-hook hookable activity will be executed successfully, a start got completed successfully, then the post will be executed and print your document. If the post activity will post activity gave some exception or it's not executed successfully, in that case, a start and a pre-hookable activity that you have hooked here will be rolled back and nothing will happen. So this is the extension points provided by SAP, and that extension point you can use to extend your application. And you can attach some of the activities here and here that will be executed for the pre-complete. Before completing this activity will be executed. After complete, you can also attach some activity. So here one activity, you can assign here multiple activities as well. This is not only one activity, you can assign multiple activities. So how it will be executed? It will be executed sequentially according to the sequence number you have provided to the activity. So sequentially this activity will be executed. So suppose you have given here 4 activity. So first send mail will be executed if the sequence is 10, and sequence 20 activity will be executed, 30 and 40. All these activity will be executed. Then only a start of this SFC at this operation will be executed. So this is your hook point. It might be pre-start hook point. It might be post-start hook point. It might be pre-complete hook point or post-complete hook point, or there are some pre-validation hook points are also available. And the activity you are using at your hook point, that is known as the hookable activity. Okay, so let me show you in a system. Here I'm going to the operation maintenance. So here you can see there is a tab in operation maintenance, activity hook. So what is the activity hook? So activity hook is nothing but a combination of hook point and activity that you are calling. So combination of hook point and activity is known as your activity hook. So here just click insert and you can see the sequence, and here you can select the hook point. So pre-start, and suppose you are selecting any hookable activity here like this. So here you can create your own activity as well, or a standard activity also you can use. Or you can use here that CT520. So it will check the start configuration, either this SFC can be started at this operation or not. And unless and until you not enable it, it will not effective. So you have to enable it. You can add here another activity as well at the pre-start. And here suppose I am attaching another activity that NC520. So this will see for your NC if there is any open NCs are there or not. So there are multiple activities you can assign. So how it will be executed? The first, the sequence 10 will be executed, and then 20 will be executed. If anyone will be failed at this operation, suppose there is an operation test, so this test operation will not be started if any one of the activity will be unsuccessful. Okay, so that actually you can see, and here in the user argument, you can pass some of the parameters to this activity. So if there is a standard activity, you need to check if there is any parameter we can pass from here or not. If there is a parameterized activity, you can pass the parameter as well through the user argument. So this is your activity hooks that give you just an extension point to your SAP ME objects. So there are some of the objects, and with that only you can use the activity hook. So what are the objects through for which you can use the activity hooks? So let me come here. So activity hook can be used in the below SAP ME activity. So these only 4 activities are there in SAP ME for which you can use a activity hook. Operation maintenance, resource maintenance, routing maintenance, and then there's a NC code maintenance, and there is a site maintenance. Apart from this, there are a number of activities available in Activity Manager, but you will not see a activity hook tab in that activity. So only will be seeing activity hook tab in only these 5 places, and you can use in SAP ME. So operation activity hook will be applied for pre-start and post-start of operation. If you are attaching a hook point at your resource, so whenever you will be starting an operation at this resource, at the pre-start and post-start, that activity will be called whatever you have configured in a resource maintenance. So depending on the requirement, you have some opportunity here that SAP ME has provided some extension points as a hook point, and you can hook a particular activity or background task, and it will be performed whenever that SFC will be started. In case of the NC log, also you can call some activity hooks. So if you will go here for the resource maintenance, you can see here also there is a activity hook that you can attach. So here also you can see the pre-start, batch start, post-start, pre-complete, post-complete. So these all are the activity hooks. And now I'm coming to the illegal characters and the keyboard shortcuts. So there are these all are the illegal characters, and do not begin and end with the value space while you are creating some materials, or you are creating NC or any objects you are creating in SAP ME. Do not use hash or a star in the version field, because hash and a star is used by SAP ME itself. Do not use the character like ampersand, star, backward slash. So these all characters try to avoid to use, except for a description and comment field. Do not use a quotation marks. And generally, some of the characters are allowed in SAP ME, whatever here I have written, but it might give you unpredicted results. So that's the reason I have written here. You may be able to save a record with some of these characters while create a record, but you may have unpredictable results. Okay. And these all are the keyboard shortcuts that actually you can use. If you want to browse a valid value for a field, the browse icon, just press F9 or enter. Browse valid values for a field in a pod, you can use the F4. Close a drop down, enter / escape button. So these all are the things, these are the shortcuts that you can use in SAP ME to operate SAP ME through the keyboard. Okay, so let me show you here a very quick exercise. So how to create an activity and show it in activity manager. So how you can create a simple activity and you can show it in your activity manager. So for that, what all need to be done? So first you need to create a activity group. Without activity group, you cannot show your activity in activity manager. So I'm just creating one activity group here. On Google Access. And this is the activity group. I'm just saving it. Okay, so I have saved one activity group with the Google Access. Now I'm going to create one activity. So for creating an activity, you have to open activity maintenance and here provide your activity that you want to create. So I'm going to create a Google URL is one activity I'm going to create. And for that, I'm giving the same as a Google URL, or I'm just giving a Google. You can give a description that is not a mandatory. And here I need to select this checkbox that visible in activity manager. Then only it will be visible in activity manager here. So now here you have to select external URL. Okay. I'm just selecting an external URL here as a type, and here I'm giving the path for the Google Access. So STT. So I'm giving this URL. So, and this activity I'm going to assign in an activity group that I recently created. So I created here the Google Access and I'm going to save it. So this activity has been saved and I have created one activity and that assigned to the activity group. And also I checked here the checkbox to visible in activity manager. So what do you think? Will this activity will be visible in activity manager? So it will come into effect when I will log out and log in again. Okay, so I'm going to log out and log in again, but see what happens. So here, let me control F and Google. I cannot find any activity or activity group in activity manager with the activity group Google Access and inside there is a Google URL. I have not seen here. Why? Because I have done this to visible it in activity manager. I have created activity group, activity, and assigned that activity to the activity group. But one thing is missing, that is your permission. So unless and until you will not give a permission for a particular activity through a user group, it will not be visible. So first of all, go to the user maintenance. So here, go to the user maintenance and see and search your user here. By using that, you have logged in and see what all user group you have been assigned. So you have assigned to the operator and administrator. So any one of the user group, you can attach your newly created activity and activity group. So here I'm just selecting administrator group. I'm going to give a permission to access. So for that, you have to go to the user group maintenance and retrieve here. Let it be open and retrieve here the administrator. And here you can see what all user assigned to this. So site admin and SAP ME demo, two user had been assigned as administrator for this site, uh, for this MED1 site. So what will happen if I want to provide a permission? I need to select that checkbox. So can you see here the custom pod and the custom, no, not this activity, Google. So actually we created a Google access and there is a Google, right? So this is the activity group and this is my activity. So I have checked it and I'm going to save it. The meaning is that I'm going to give a permission for accessing Google access activity group and Google activity to administrator user group. So those user who has been assigned as a administrators, admin site admin and SAP ME demo will be able to see this Google Access activity group and Google activity in a site, in a activity manager if a user will log out and log in again. So I'm going to log out and log in again with the same user, and here now it should be visible your Google URL. So can you see here a Google access and this is the Google. Double click on this. So here actually from server the Google is not allowed. So let me just open in new tab. So close it. So you can see the Google.com has been opened here. So google.co.in. So like that you can create your own activity and you can make it visible inside your activity manager as well. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you. Bye.